station. This is Houston. Are you ready for the event?
Houston, this is station. I am ready for the event.
Stephen Colbert, this is Mission Control Houston. Please call station for a voice check.
I know there's something I was supposed to say. Mickey, can you roll me to the part of the script? Station, this is Stephen Colbert. How do you hear me?
I hear you loud and clear, Stephen Colbert. How do you hear me?
Check, check. I hear you just great. This is so exciting. Thank you so much for doing this. I'm going to do my introduction to you, and then we'll go straight into the interview. Thanks. Okay, here we go. Ready, y'all? Jim, you ready?
We're speeding.
Thank you. Welcome back, everybody. I am so excited because my next guest is a NASA astronaut. Right. Welcome back, everybody. I am so excited because my next guest is Welcome back, everybody. I'm so excited right now, as you can tell, because my next guest is a NASA astronaut who is currently in space, speaking to us from the International Space Station. Please welcome Jessica Meir. Jessica, thanks so much for being here.
Hello. You're very, very welcome. Thank you. This has always been on my goal. Things to do is talk to you.
Well, then we're even, because my goal is to talk to you in the International Space Station, or when you come back. Either one would be great. Now, Jessica, everyone here on Earth has had their lives disrupted by the coronavirus, but you're not on Earth. What is it like to experience the global pandemic from orbit?
It has been very surreal to experience this, to watch this situation unfold on the ground of this global pandemic. And it has felt really surreal because we're up here going about our normal day. The whole issue has been pretty transparent to us because our ground teams, although of course their lives are affected, it is really a seamless transition and continuing to get our jobs done up here. We're talking to our family and friends and we're watching the news feed. So it's a little bit difficult for us to believe that we are truly going back to a different planet. And it was very strange to feel that there were 3 of us up here at the time. Now there are 6 of us again. We were really the only 3 humans that were not subjected to that at the current time. Billions of humans, everybody was dealing with this in some way or another, and the 3 of us weren't. So it was very strange to see it all unfold.
Well, everybody here back on Earth is dealing with social isolation. And I understand that astronauts are actually trained to deal with isolation. Do you have any advice for the rest of us who might be getting cabin fever?
Yeah, we've actually been posting some of our advice on social media. And I think some of the things that help us up here are to continue to get our daily exercise, to keep to a schedule and a routine. Those things are important for both our mental and our physical well-being, to make sure that we're playing nicely with others, to treat each other well, kindly, with respect, and to get along well, and also just to keep having a little bit of fun as well. I think that's very important for your psychological well-being. So every now and then we try to keep things light, maintain our senses of humor. All of those things really help us function together as a happy team living in isolation.
Now, you mentioned exercise, and I have to ask, have you been running on the Colbert treadmill in the space station?
Absolutely. I was just on the Colbert treadmill a few hours ago. There's still a picture of you on it, and we actually do that almost every day. We weight lift every day, and we either bike or run on the treadmill every day. It's very important for us to maintain our bone density and our muscle mass, so you are a regular part of our daily routine, Stephen.
It is a profound honor to know that. Thank you, Jessica. Now, as you said, you have to be good roommates together. Do you have any advice on how not to annoy the people that you're trapped alone with for months on end?
Yeah, we even have a buzzword for that at NASA, and it's called expeditionary skills. And this is something that is very important in terms of how we select astronauts and how we train them as well. And there are a lot of key elements to that. First of all, in terms of teamwork, there's good leadership and good followership, of course, effective communication strategies, taking care of yourself and all of your equipment and supplies. That can be quite a challenge up here when things are floating around and you're using all the surfaces around you. And also being a good team player, taking care of each other. I like to think of it of all the things that parents tell their children, how to play nicely with others, or also the kind of people that I would want to go camping with. All of those features are really important, and I think it's a great thing to know that that's how we select our astronauts these days. Because we have all of these long-duration missions, we actually don't just pick someone who's the top of their field or the ace jet pilot. If they're also not a good person and someone you like to be around, somebody that makes the stay a little bit more pleasant, then you actually won't get selected to be an astronaut anymore, which makes us a better team and makes it a lot more fun up here.
Jessica, would you recommend space to other people? Because I've always wanted to be an astronaut, and I gave it up to go into comedy. Slightly different occupation, but if someone had a chance to go to space, would you say jump at it?
Absolutely. We feel so fortunate to be among the few people that have been up here, and I wish that I could share it with everybody. That's one of the goals of my mission, is to try and share it with as many people as possible, because I think it is just so important to have this privilege to be up here, to be looking down at the planet from up here. It really does change your perspective as a human, and I think it would be very important for the rest of the human race to experience that as well.
Well, I want to ask you about looking down at the planet. Since there's no sense of direction, do you feel like you're looking down at the Earth or looking up at the Earth, or are you just sort of next to the Earth? How would you explain the spatial relationship?
Yeah, that's an interesting question. You are sort of just next to it because we're really not that far away. We're only 250 miles up, so it's not as if we can see the whole round planet. We can only see a small portion of it, but it does feel a bit like we are above it because we are moving, right? We're in orbit, going around the Earth every 90 minutes, 17,500 miles per hour. And I think that in that way, in some ways, it looks if you're up at high altitude in an airplane. So you do have this feeling that you are up above.
Do you always know when you look out what you're over, or is it hard to guess where over the planet you are at any given moment? Like you say, okay, that's Italy automatically, or you don't know?
Well, Italy's pretty easy because it has that distinct shape, but it is a little bit difficult, just as I was saying, since you are only 250 miles up. It's not as if you see the entire planet. And of course, when you're looking at a globe, there are no political boundaries drawn in. And the other tricky part is that you're not always looking at it in the same orientation that they're used to. You're really kind of looking at it upside down because the bottom of the space station looking down at the Earth is this way. So you have to interpret, what's up and what's down, north, south is always a little bit different. I have gotten a lot better, though, I think, from when I first got here. It can be really quite confusing at first, and then you get better and better. But Italy, that's an easy one. I think anyone could spot that.
Well, Jessica, thank you so much for talking to us. I know you're coming back in 2 days, but I would say astronauts and college seniors should maybe consider staying where they are just a little bit longer.
I wish I could stay up here longer, actually. I already wanted to before the situation that was unfolding down there, but unfortunately our mission length is determined by the lifetime of our Soyuz spacecraft, so we need to get back relatively quickly, and it'll be great to see everybody on the ground again, even if it is from a distance.
Well, safe travels on your way back to the cool green hills of Earth. Jessica Meir, everybody, from the International Space Station. We'll be right back. Thank you, Jessica.
Thank you, Stephen. Thank you so much, Stephen. It was a pleasure talking to you today.
Looking at you and how much I'm grinning.
Station, this is Houston ACR. That concludes the Stephen Colbert portion of the event. Please stand by for a voice check from NPR.
Station, this is NPR. How do you hear me?
I have you loud and clear, NPR. How do you hear me?
Hear you loud and clear, Jessica. Thank you so much for taking a few minutes to talk to us from up there.
No problem. It's wonderful to hear a familiar voice. Yours is one that I listen to often, even up here on the International Space Station.
Oh, wow. Well, we all appreciate that. Can you tell me what you're seeing right now? Which part of Earth? What are you passing, and what does it look like?
Well, right now, since I'm looking at this video camera, don't have eyes out of a window, but I believe that we are looking down at a night pass, and I think we actually are just passing by the southeastern corner of Australia. Then we'll be over ocean for a while, and we'll be coming up over the Pacific Northwest, over Canada, and coming back down over my home state of Maine.
Huh. And as you have had the chance to see the planet from up there and see different places pass by, including something like your home, what are you thinking about in this moment and from that vantage point?
We are thinking about so much all the time. I mean, in general, for me, every time I go into the cupola, which is really our biggest area of windows, where you have windows all around and then one straight down, it is difficult to believe that it's really happening that I'm up here sometimes still. You look down and you're floating all the time, 24 hours a day, and you're looking down at the Earth, all the places you've ever been, all the people you've known, everything's down there together, and it is just surreal and so incredibly beautiful. Right now, we have a lot of other thoughts going through our minds since we're actually getting ready to come home. And we are packing up, and we will be home on Friday after 7 months. Today's actually my 203rd day in space, so it's a little bit surreal to think that we're going back, especially given the situation that's been unfolding on the ground. It looks like we are going back to a completely different planet, so it will be certainly an interesting experience for us.
Who have you been thinking about and staying in touch with as you know, to try and stay connected to what's been happening here?
One of the great things is that we have a lot of resources here up at NASA for psychological support and all of our mental health and mental well-being. So we actually have regular conferences once a week, video conferences, just like a Skype or a FaceTime call with our loved ones, our family and friends, and we can even mix that up a little bit and switch who the person is we want to talk to on different weeks. And we also have we can use a program that's acting just like a phone, so I can call a cellular telephone from my computer when we have the appropriate satellite coverage. So I've been speaking to a lot of family and friends. One of the reasons is not even just for me. I just want to be able to share this with everybody possible, and a lot of people think it's pretty cool to get a call from space, so that's something that I enjoy doing a lot.
Is everyone in your family, your friends, doing okay?
Yes, thank you very much for asking. Everybody is doing well, and I know this is really an incredibly difficult time for everybody, and it's affecting everybody's lives in one way or another, and that's why it's so difficult to believe. You know, I know other people have experienced major personal or also even more internationally type incidents while they've been in space removed from it, but this one is just something that is affecting the entire planet. Nobody is left untouched in some form or another, whether it's, you know, affecting their or their loved one's health, unfortunately, or even if it's just affecting their daily routine. There really isn't anybody that's not affected by this, except for us for now. And so that has just been very odd and surreal for us to experience.
Yeah, I wonder about the emotion and whether it's even lonelier to be away from people and away from the planet at a moment like this. I mean, you said it's a different planet. Like, are there competing emotions? Like, you're seeing this beautiful sight, but also I wonder if there's some guilt, like I'm not there going through this with all of you right now.
Yeah, it certainly does feel like quite a contradiction, because when I look out the window, the Earth is equally as stunning as it looked several months ago before all of this happened. So it is hard for us to process really how much everything has changed.
Does it look any different? I mean, we've been hearing that there's, for one thing, a lot less air pollution in many cities because of so many people sheltering in place. I mean, can you tell that it's a different looking planet visually when you take a look down?
Yeah, we've talked a lot about that up here, and I think if we really approached that systematically, where we were looking at the same place, the same time of day, then we would be able to see that comparison, but our schedules don't really allow that. I think we probably would be able to see certain things, especially like air traffic. You know, we can see contrails over areas with a lot of air traffic, and that certainly has diminished significantly, so I think that's one thing that we could easily see. I kind of have been wondering if I look directly at the night photographs of the city light patterns, you know, would we see lights concentrated in different areas, less in kind of downtown areas, more in sort of residential areas, and then the pollution, as you mentioned as well. I think if we directly compared some of those images, then we would be able to see that. But when you just look out the window on any particular day, it's hard to kind of pick those things out.
Jessica, in normal times, if we can even call them that, what would you be doing as soon as you landed back on Earth, and what would you be looking forward to most?
Yeah, this situation has dramatically affected our plans. NASA has done an incredible job. Our support people on the ground have been working very hard to figure out even how to come pick us up. So, as you know, we launch in the Soyuz spacecraft from Baikonur in Kazakhstan, and we land in Kazakhstan as well. So normally what happens is a NASA aircraft comes over to pick us up and gets us back to Houston within 24 hours. But of course, even getting that NASA aircraft over there with all the international stops involved has been quite an effort. And we're taking a different path. It's going to be kind of like a planes, trains, and automobiles scenario where I think we're going to even end up riding in an ambulance for several hours across the Kazakh steppe in order to get to our airplane. So it'll be a little bit different than normal, but this is the first time landing for both me and my crewmate Drew Morgan, so we don't really have anything to compare it to. It'll just be the way that it is for us. Once we get home, normally we have, you know, a little bit of a quarantine period, which has been a little bit soft in the past in terms of we can still kind of go about our daily routine. But because one of the hallmarks of spaceflight physiologically is actually a dysregulation of our immune system, we actually can come back potentially a bit immunocompromised. So, of course, that makes everybody at NASA concerned, and they want to make sure that they keep us safe and healthy. So we'll have a more strict quarantine this time where we'll be actually staying and living at NASA for at least a week after we land with very limited access to make sure that we remain healthy as well.
Oh, wow. So you have to go from being in space for more than 200 days to actually coming to Earth and continuing to basically have to quarantine yourself.
Yeah, that is the irony. I mean, we're going to be going for 7 months of isolation for me, 9 months for my crewmate Drew Morgan, to more isolation on the ground. And not even just that first week. It sounds like it's going to be a lot of isolation for the foreseeable future as well. And I think it's actually going to feel more confined and more isolating to do that on Earth than it is up here, because that's something that we expect and train for. And we have so many extraordinary things happening around us at all times up here. We don't really feel like that isolation and confinement is an issue. But on the ground, when you're not used to expecting that, and when, you know, your daily life consists of going out and doing all these things, I think it's going to feel a lot more isolating down there than up here.
What do you miss most about life on Earth?
I get asked that a lot, and actually I haven't really missed anything. I think for me, you know, this is my first space flight, something I've been thinking about literally my entire life since I was 5 years old. And every day we are doing something so exciting. We have this incredible view of the Earth. We're doing incredible science experiments. We're sometimes going out the door to do a spacewalk, and all of these experiences have been so varied and new that I think this completely in this new alien environment that it doesn't really make me miss anything at home. But of course, elements of nature are the one thing that I think will feel even more amazing once I come back. I love being outside and just feeling the fresh air and like feeling a bit of wind coming across your face, you know, the feeling of the warmth of the sunlight on your skin, the smell of the trees in the forest. That is something that I am really looking forward to.
Thank you so much, Jessica. Be safe.
Thank you. It was wonderful speaking to you today, Steve, and I hope you all can take care and stay healthy down there. We're all thinking of you.
Station, this is Houston ACR. That concludes our event as we count down to 20 continuous years of humans living and working on the International Space Station.
Thank thank you to all participants from Stephen Colbert and NPR. Station, we are now resuming operational audio communications.